Hi guys, welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, I'm going to teach you uh, some things that are related to the function. In this lecture, I will teach you how to perform the arithmetic and then return the value and how to reuse the code and some things that are related to the functions. And now this is the previous file. You have already know what we have created. And here I want to tell you another thing. Here you see that there are three arguments are passing in this function a, b and z. These are three arguments, but if we don't know how many arguments are passing, or we just need the value, or in other words length of the arguments, so how we can find it? We have to use dot length with the arguments. So how we can find it? Here is arguments dot length. So now this function arguments dot length will return the number of arguments that are passing. Here I'm gonna store it in the a variable. A have 3 value and I'm gonna alert it out here. And here is, I'm gonna refresh the page. So here you can see that 3 arguments are passing. This a have the 3 value. This arguments dot length will return it. And here this is working, and here you can, here I'm going to comment it. Here it is. And now I'm going to tell you another thing, that is how to return the value from the function. Here I'm going to pass some values, 3 values, like this is 4, 5 and 6. So now these 3 arguments are passing, and here I'm going to add all of these arguments. Here is a plus b plus z. So now all of these 3 arguments are added, and I'm gonna store these values inside here. I'm going to store these values inside result. Here you can see that we can perform the arithmetics on the arguments that are passing. We can show these values in the alert box, or we can print these values inside a element. And here I'm going to write result variable, and it will add all of these arguments. Here you see that 15, the sum is 15. And here I want to tell you another thing, that is we can also return this value. So what is the returning of the value? Like here in this way, you can write return, and you can write the variable name that we want to return. So what is going to happen? You don't need to write here any data type or anything. Those students who have already know the function, they understand what I have said, and those who are new, they don't need to put their attention on this thing. So now here on this thing means the data type that I have talked about. This thing is important for all students. This is the return result. So what this statement does, this statement is returning this variable, the value of this variable, you can say that result. So now this variable is returned to the call. Here we have, this statement is calling this function, and this return result will return this variable in the response of calling this function. And now here we have to receive this value. So how we can receive it? We have to receive it in a variable. So I'm going to receive it in a variable, and then we can alert it out, and we can use at any point. Here is a. So now result is 15. 15 is returned by the function, and it is received here in the statement. And then from the statement we have saved this result value in the a variable, and then we are alerting it out. Here you can see that it is 15. So here I'm going to show you again. Here is 15, and in this way you can return the values. So And here I want to tell you about another thing, a shortcut method. You have declare here the variable. Here you can see that you have to declare a variable, and then you have to return that, you have to save that values in the variable, and then you have to return. But here is another method. You can directly write like this. Here you can directly write like this: a plus b plus z is equal to 15. So it directly return the 15 that is going to store in the a, and it is still working. Here I'm going to show you. Here is the 15. So in this way you can also return the values. And now here I want to tell you another thing, that is, you can also use this function as many times as we want. Like here I'm going to pass some different values. I'm going to call this function again like this. Here you can see that I'm going to call this function again, and this time I'm going to pass some different values like 3, then comma, then 2, and then comma, and then 4. Here you must need to remember this thing. Here we are passing 3 values, so we have to write here 3 variable names to save 3 values. So now here you see that here we are passing 3 different values. So now when this statement calls this function, so it will pass its value 4, 5, 6, and then addition is performed on these values, and values are saved here. And then this statement will call the function again, and it will pass 3 to 4 values in these variables, and then this addition is performed on these variables, and it will return the result. Here I'm going to store it in the b, and here I'm going to print with some space between the variables. And here these values, the values of the functions that the function returns by the additions is printed on the screen. Here is a, then here is the space, and then b. And here you see that 15 and 9, so both values are printed, both are the different values. So in this way you can use this function as many times as you want by passing different arguments, or without passing different arguments, you can call this function as many times as you want. So here you can see that this function is executing 2 times. Here is the first time, second time. But here now I'm going to tell you another thing. You can also use the function directly. Here you see that we have to save the value in the variable. Here you can see that when this statement will return addition value, and then it will be saved in the b variable. So we can write like this. Here we have to remove it, and then we can directly write the function here at the place of the variable. Here is remove the semicolon from this point, because here is the semicolon, so remove the semicolon from this point because we don't need it. Semicolon is at the end of the instruction. Here is the semicolon, we don't need the second, it will create the problems. And now here you can see that we have write the function, the calling function directly here. So when this statement execute, so this statement just when the editor reach at this statement, or the browser reach at this statement, so this function will be called, and it will addition the value, it will return the value that is the result value here, and it will be printed in the pop-up box. The alert is not going to print this statement, it will call the statement. Here you can see that, here you see that it print the result that we are returning from the function. Here we are adding the value, it will return 9. So this calling statement is not going to be written on the screen, the value is written on the screen. So we can also do this. And here I want to tell you something. Here is, I'm going to make it in the comment, and now here I'm going to show you a thing. If we call any function like this, here is div, in the div I'm going to print the values. So what you need to do, you just need to write a statement like this. Here I'm going to write it. So now this statement does, you have already know. It catch the return value, and the return value is printed on the screen. Here you can see that. So I want to tell you just this thing, it is also work, it will work with every output function property. You can use this thing at anywhere. And here another thing, if we want to print this function, if we want to print this functionality like this on the screen, so how to do it? You just need to write the name of the function. Here you see that name of the function, and then write toString. So it will write the function on the screen. This is the toString, is a function that will print all of the function on the screen. You just need to write the name of the function and then toString. This S is a capital. And now here you see that all the function is printed on the screen, and all the things that are with it and comment is also printed on the screen. So this is the method to print all the function on the screen. You can use this. So thank you for watching this video. If you have any problems, so kindly add the discussion. I'll help you as much as I can.